Palace of Versailles. It's opulent, it's massive, and if you don't have a plan, it can be an absolute nightmare of long lines and shoulder-to-shoulder crowds. But today, I'm going to be showing you how to do it right, from the secret to getting to the Hall of Mirrors all to yourself, to navigating the hidden hamlets of Merry Antoinette. First things first, booking your ticket. There are many third-party websites that are selling the exact same thing at a higher premium. Always make sure to use the official website, which is the chateauversailles.fr. When booking, you've got choices. The passport ticket is your best bet, as it covers everything. Keep an eye out for when the musical garden or musical fountain shows are taking place, as the fountains don't run every day, and seeing them active completely changes the energy of the gardens. Furthermore, make sure you also don't miss out on the guided tours, in particular that of the king's private apartment. It's a separate booking, but it gets you behind the velvet ropes into rooms the general public never sees. Let's talk about getting there, or basically your logistics for the day. Since most of you are likely going to be coming from Paris, I would say skip the bus. The RER C train is going to be your best friend. One option is that you can go from Gare Montparnasse all the way to Versailles Chantier, and from there you can either walk or catch one of the buses that will be waiting for you, or that come quite frequently. Now, the alternative, which I would recommend if you can, but again, either of these are totally acceptable, is going to be catching the RER C train, which starts at Gare de Austerlitz and goes all the way to Versailles Chateau Rive Gauche, which is going to drop you again right outside the entrance. In either case, your walking is going to be minimum. A pro tip is that you should have breakfast at a local boulangerie in Paris. What you can then do is grab your croissants or whatever it is that you want to take, put in your backpack, head to whichever train station you need to get to, and then once you're actually on the train heading to Palais Versailles, you can start eating your croissant or your baguette or whatever it is that you've gotten for yourself, and it's going to be way better probably than anything you're going to find by Versailles. The other plus side to that, of course, is that when you're waiting in the security line at Versailles, you're fueled and ready to go instead of being hangry and waiting to enter. Let's talk about your entry strategy. So upon arriving at Palais Versailles, you're probably going to see a lot of lines. That's because Palais Versailles uses a timed entry ticket system. So when you select your date, you'll also be asked to select the time slot. Now, once you've done that, when you arrive at Palais Versailles, you're going to then need to look for the line, and in particular the one that corresponds to your entry time. They will have various things on stands telling you what time corresponds to that line. But don't worry, if you or the person in front of you, for example, ended up being in the wrong line, well, they've got security that are going to check people's times whilst they wait in the line to go through the security check, and they'll see that if it doesn't match up, they will yank them out and tell them to go and wait in the correct line. On the far left are what we call the poor unfortunate souls. Those are the people who decided not to watch this video, or maybe others, in advance, and therefore didn't book an online ticket in advance. On the far right is entrance B. That is for people who are going to be going on a group guided tour that also have got a time ticket. Please be aware that that does not include, if you have booked separately, the King's private apartment tour. You can still go in entrance A if you did that. You don't need to go, and you shouldn't actually be going through entrance B again, unless you're on a group guided tour. So naturally that brings up the question as to what time do I recommend you go? And as unpopular as it may be, I'm going to say go as early as you can, which is typically around 9 a.m. Now, a lot of bigger, more popular channels and videos out there, they're going to even mention that maybe you should go in the middle of the day. I personally think that is a garbage tip, and that it is just there to sound cool or edgy, or come up with an additional tip for some top 10 tips to visit Versailles video. Trust the system, it's going to make a lot more sense throughout this video as to why the earlier is certainly the better. Here is my number one tip probably for most people when it comes to visiting Palais Versailles, and that is the reverse strategy. You see, when most people go to Palais Versailles, they go through security and then they meander their way through the palace in an orderly fashion. But because you're here, you're clever, you're smart, we're going to leverage the fact that you followed my advice of taking the earliest time slot possible, and you're going to get through security and sprint straight to the Hall of Mirrors. Once you're there, you're probably going to be one of the only people there, which means you can totally bask and take in the absolute beautiful golden reflective opulence that is this iconic hall. And once you've done that, you've taken all the photos and everything for the gram or whatever the latest social media app might be at the time of watching, and the rest of the crowds catch up, you're going to head all the way back to the beginning and then take a more orderly stroll through the rest of the palace. Because you see, the Hall of Mirrors, as beautiful, as impressive as it is way more breathtakingly beautiful when you are not shoulder to shoulder with about 500 people, 7 different tour groups, all shouting because someone's intercom broke, and everyone trying to squeeze through and nudge to get their photo of the one little corner where there might not be someone standing there. You got to view it pretty much empty, if not empty. And by the time you get there, you're going to see it's going to be crowded and crazy afterwards, and you're going to sit back and go, damn, I'm glad I followed that advice. Right. Next up, let's talk about 2 unbelievable pieces of art that you must see before you finish up at the Palace of Versailles, but we're not done with the rest of Versailles. And of course, we'll get to lunch because by this point, you're probably going to be a bit hungry. So the 2 pieces of art you just have to see. Number 1 is going to be the coronation of Napoleon. Now to see this, you are going to see it just before you get to the Hall of Mirrors. So I'm less worried you'll miss this one. However, the second one is a little bit easier to miss, but it is easy to find. And that's going to be Napoleon crossing the Alps. To get to that one, you're going to need to go to where the Senate is, go to the very end of that hallway, and to the left, you'll see a little flight of stairs to go to the Senate President's apartment, and to the right, you'll see this conference room. And right in the middle, staring you down at the end of that conference room, is going to be the painting of Napoleon crossing the Alps. It's absolutely awesome. Okay, let's talk about lunch. By now, you're probably hungry. There are plenty of places to eat at Versailles. However, my recommendation would be La Flottille. It's situated right at the end of the formal gardens, right along the canal. It's efficient, it's lovely, and it is the perfect transition point before you head deeper into the estate. The gardens are massive. They're actually quite a workout. Now, remember that the fountains only run at certain times, so check your watch. From the gardens, it's a pleasant walk to the Grand Trianon. It's absolutely beautiful and worth the visit just for its pink marble pilasters alone. Now, if you're pressed for time, I would cut out Le Petit Trianon. It's only a short walk away and it is rather lovely, but if your feet are hurting, this would be the very first thing I'd cut. Finally, you've reached the Hameau de la Reine. This place has a Disney feel to it. It's Marie Antoinette's stylized rustic village. Now, you can't enter most of the buildings unless you've booked a tour through the palace, but wandering through the grounds is surreal. A fair warning, it's quite the hike to the nearest exit from here, so make sure you've saved some energy. It's beautiful, but it is also the furthest point from any entrance. A few final Our Next Adventure tips. Number 1 is wear boots. Even if there's a little bit of rain, the garden paths turn to mud quickly. 2, bring an umbrella. Whether it's to escape the heat or because of some intermittent rain, there is very little shade or covering in the gardens. Number 3, don't forget the extras. A lot of people overlook the gallery of coaches and the royal tennis courts, which are just across from the palace. So if you have extra time, I highly recommend you check them out. They're fascinating. And last but not least, as always, bring a mobile power bank or battery charger. The last thing you want to be doing is enjoying this incredible full day at Versailles and have to be stressing and panicking because your phone or whatever device's battery is running near flat. Bring one of these with, they're a lifesaver, and of course, I highly recommend to charge it during lunch. That way you can really just enjoy your full day as best as you wish. Versailles is a long day, but it is an incredibly beautiful place, especially if you manage your time right. If this helped you plan your trip, hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures. I'll see you on the next one. Hi. You can't go in?